Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today is Wednesday and we're going to be talking about theme today. So let's get into your goal. That's what you're going to be able to accomplish at the end of the lesson. And today you're going to be able to determine the theme in a text. So you might be asking yourself, well, what is a theme? And the theme in a story is the overall message or lesson in a text or a story that the author wants you to know about. Here's your daily hint for theme. You're going to want to think about what the characters do and what the characters say. You also want to pay attention to how the characters change throughout the text. Here's our graphic organizer that we're going to be filling in today to determine the theme. Now, every theme has details that showcase a theme. Now, as we read our story for this week, A Surprise Reunion, we're going to be thinking of details that help us determine how Chief Camawait, how he thinks and how he might feel about family. Now, think about our essential question also. And our essential question this week is, how do traditions connect people? So let's get into the story and let's think about the details that would help us decide on a theme. A Surprise Reunion. Chief Camawait looked with intensity across the Shoshone camp. The tribe prepared for the rabbit dance as warriors oiled their leather costumes. The dance was done to honor the rabbit as an important food source. The Shoshone had used traditions such as this dance since the beginning of time to mark special occasions and remember their ancestors. In the distance, laughing children were playing with a ball made from rawhide. They rolled the ball into a circle drawn in the dust. If the ball rolled outside the circle, the child must forfeit his or her turn. Camawait smiled as he remembered the games he had played as a child. But Camawait grimaced beneath his smile. He felt a dull pain in his stomach for his little sister. She had been snatched from the camp during a raid long ago. He despised those who had taken her. He closed his eyes and pictured the games they had played together. She had been scrawny and demanding and had an irritating habit of following him everywhere. He remembered he missed her assertive manner and her constant questions. What became of her? We're going to stop right here, and we're going to focus on a couple details that we just read about. Now, one of the details that focuses on the traditions of this tribe has to do with Chief Camawait watching the children play. Now, as he watched the children play, what was Chief Camawait thinking? Remember, when you focus on theme, you should be thinking of how the characters are acting and the things that they're doing. You're right. As Chief Camawait watched the children play, it reminded him of his sister. Now remember, if you don't recall what happened to his sister, you could always go back and reread the text. Now, his sister was taken during a raid many years before this, and Chief Camawait felt really, really sad. And you can tell that he felt really, really sad by making an inference. And this sentence right here, he felt a dull pain in his stomach for his little sister, should hopefully show you that he felt very sad that his sister was no longer with him. Now, these two important details are going to help us determine our theme. So let's head back to our organizer and put those details in. All right, so the first detail that we're going to go ahead and put in is when Chief Camawait is watching the children, he begins to think of his sister. So watching the children play, Chief Camawait was reminded of his sister. And let's spell that right. Okay. Now, our other detail that helped us was the fact that as he watched them, he felt pain as he thought about her. He feels pain thinking about her. let's go back to the text and let's continue reading so we can find out another detail that's going to help us determine the theme. "It is time to ride," Hawk That Soars said, interrupting his thoughts. Camawate had came back to reality, turned, and mounted his horse. So everything we just read before, Chief Camawate, he was kind of reminiscing on the past, and now we're going back to actual real time in the story. A man named Captain Lewis had approached the Shoshone days before. Camawate knew that Lewis had come in peace, and so he welcomed him and his party. Lewis told the Shoshone his story. He explained that he was part of a company with a mission. He was to explore the land that stretched from the Missouri River to the great ocean. He then asked the chief for a favor. He explained that the rest of his party was waiting at the river with a supply boat. Lewis needed the strength and endurance of the Shoshone horses to help transport the supplies across the difficult land. In return, Lewis offered the Shoshone food and other goods. Camawate's party arrived at Lewis's camp. There he met Captain Clark. Now remember, we're still looking for another detail that helps us determine the theme, and we have two details so far that focus on Chief Camawate talking about his sister. So we're essentially looking for another detail that talks about his sister. "Let's sit and discuss how we may help each other," said Clark. He led the men inside a large tent. Buffalo blankets were spread all around. As they settled inside, Lewis addressed the chief. "We travel with a woman who knows your language." A slender woman with long, dark braids entered the tent. Her eyes adjusted to the dim light filtered through the thick cloth. She nodded to the chief. "I am Sacagawea," she said. Camawate could not believe his eyes. He examined the features of her face. He watched as her expression slowly changed. He immediately knew this was the same sweet face of his lost sister. Sacagawea quickly ran to him. Tears filled her dark eyes. The pain and sadness that Camawate had carried over the years retreated to a forgotten place. "My brother," she cried, "is it really you? How long has it been?" Lewis and Clark were happy to have been unwitting partners in this reunion. Chief Camawate promised them he would provide whatever help and resources they needed. "You have given me a great gift," Camawate told them. "You have reunited me with my beloved sister. Our people will sing and tell stories so that all may remember and honor this day for generations to come." All right, so we have our two details that are in our graphic organizer. One, if you remember, has to do with Chief Camawate watching the children play, and that reminded him of him and his sister when they used to play. The second detail is that as he watches the children play, he gets really sad because he's reminded of his sister. Now, as I think about those two details, I'm starting to understand that the author wants me to know something very important about Chief Camawate. Now, I also mentioned that we needed to look for another detail that has to do with how Chief Camawate has changed throughout the story. Reread these 4 paragraphs on page 385 and tell me if you can find the detail that shows how Chief Camawate has changed, or maybe a detail that shows some information about how he feels for his sister. After you're done reading, you can hit the play button so you can continue the lesson. All right, guys, if you were able to decide that this detail in this last paragraph shows us how Chief Camawate has changed over time and how he feels, you're absolutely correct. Let's reread it together. "You have given me a great gift," Camawate told them. Now, how do you think Camawate feels right now? If he is saying they've given him a great gift, do you think he feels happy or do you think he feels sad? You're right, he definitely feels happy. "You've reunited me with my beloved sister. Our people will sing and tell stories that all may remember and honor this day for generations to come." So based on that paragraph right there, you can tell that Chief Cameawait is extremely happy and he's extremely grateful for being reunited with his sister. Let's head back over to our graphic organizer and put that detail in, and let's try to think of the theme together. All right, so let's put that detail into our graphic organizer. Chief Cameawait is happy and grateful to be reunited with his sister. Now, if we have those three details, what do you think the theme could be? What do you think the author wants us to know? Let's relook at those details again. Watching the children play, Chief Cameawait was reminded of his sister. Chief Cameawait feels pain thinking about her. Chief Cameawait is happy and grateful to be reunited with his sister. So you can hopefully understand that all throughout the story, Chief Cameawait, he was thinking about his sister. What does that say about Chief Cameawait as a person? You're right. He must really think that family is important, and he must also really love his sister. And remember, themes have to do with the overall message or lessons that an author wants you to learn. So I would say the theme in this story is that family is extremely important. Now, also, what do you think about their traditions and the things that were happening in this story? Do you think that might be part of the theme? You're right, it is. So let's insert that too. Family and traditions are extremely important to Chief Cameawait. Now, sometimes the theme in a story is kind of difficult to determine, but that's why you find details that can help you understand what the author wants you to know about the story. And I'm pretty sure that the theme in this story has to do with family and traditions and how important they are to Chief Cameawait. Now, you are going to head over to Wonders and you're going to complete page 253 to 255. Remember, you only need to complete part A and you can skip part B. All right, head over to Wonders now to complete your activity, and I will talk to you tomorrow with a brand new lesson.